Hi everyone, this is Emily Mercado of Loves to Travel the World Traveling Company. Today we're going to be talking about 7 tips to stay safe during air travel post COVID-19. Travel is starting to open up. So when travel starts, especially in airlines and airports and in airplanes, there are going to be a lot of precautions in place, and air travel is going to look very different than what you may be used to pre-COVID-19. It's very, very important to stay informed. I, as your travel agent, can help you do that, both before, during, and after your trip. Okay. And just like when you're navigating your world, when you go to the grocery store, when you go to different stores, it's very important to take those same measures when you're entering an airport and entering an aircraft to try not to get sick. However, it should be noted that the risk of infection on an airplane is very low, according to the World Health Organization. It's important to keep in mind that airplane ventilation systems on modern airplanes change the air a total of 20 to 30 times in an hour. So the air that you're breathing in and out, you might not be quite as infected as you think it is. It's important also to know and understand that when air is recirculated in an airplane, the air passes through a HEPA filter, the same HEPA filters that are used in places like movie theaters, hospitals, and ICUs within the hospital. So it is a very safe, very clean, relatively clean environment for you, so that you're not going to so that you're not going to pick up an infection that way. The reality is that the risk of infection on an airplane mainly comes from direct contact with infected persons. Like if you were, say, to come in contact after someone sneezes, respiratory droplets in the air, or if you were to shake someone's hand and then touch your eye, your nose, or your mouth, as opposed to just breathing in the air on an airplane. Right now we're going to talk about 7 ways that you can keep yourself safe and keep the following things in mind the next time you travel on an airplane. The first thing you want to do is you want to make an inventory list, kind of a checklist of things that you want to carry with you. Make sure you always carry a few things in your carry-on, including hand sanitizer that contains more than 60% alcohol, disinfectant wipes if you can find them, tissues, and a face mask. All of these things taken in combination will help to maintain a certain level of hygiene. All right, and the help to also prevent contact, especially the mask, is going to help prevent contact with disease-causing respiratory droplets. Okay, and this one kind of sounds obvious, but it's worth mentioning to be careful and mindful of what you touch. COVID-19 does spread very easily, and it's important to be mindful when using devices like your smartphone or other high-touch kiosks, like when you, say, go to McDonald's and you order your food up front. Make sure that you are mindful of the surfaces that you touch when you're in public, like ATMs, check-in machines, escalators, elevators, and so on. And you do want to make frequent use of that hand sanitizer that you have in your carry-on. And of course, wash your hands frequently as well with warm water and soap. And of course, you want to be careful not to touch your face, eyes, nose, or mouth before you've had a chance to either sanitize or wash your hands. And also, you want to be mindful of your own high-touch items, such as your phone or your wallet, because they could be just as germ-filled as those other high-touch devices like ATMs that we had mentioned before. And you might want to keep those just like maybe tucked away in your purse or in a bag rather than out in your hand while you're doing security checks. And wiping down your phone a couple of times a day is highly advisable if you can. But if you can't, again, you might just want to tuck it away in your purse or in a bag so that it doesn't get infected as you use it. The next thing I want to mention is to minimize human contact if at all possible. I know it's challenging, especially when you're in a crowded place like an airport. There are people all around, but there are certain steps that you can take in order to minimize that human contact. Whenever possible, make use of technology and automation. Get your boarding pass from a machine or download it onto your smartphone. A lot of times airlines will allow you to check in the night before, either the night before or the day before. And you can print out your boarding pass so you have a paper copy, or you can download it to your smartphone. Of course, sanitize your hands after if you're going to check in at the airport using one of the kiosks in the airport. In food and retail outlets, that's a little bit of a different beast to tackle. Try not to touch common surfaces. Again, I know it's a little bit more challenging, but there are ways that you can minimize that touching. As always, maintain 6 feet if you can from other people, and try if you can to pay using contactless options. A lot of retailers and food restaurants are asking that you pay via credit card as opposed to giving cash. So that's just another something to be aware of. If possible, get a window seat, book a window seat. I know some of you, if you're anything like me, I much prefer being on an aisle where I can get up and get in and out of my seat as easily as possible. But if you can, try to get a window seat. But it may not be totally up to you when you book your seats. When you can, again, try to choose a window seat, because studies have shown actually that the best way to avoid germs on a plane, again, is to book that window seat and remain seated for the entire duration of your flight, if possible. The recommendation, especially when you're doing long haul flights, 8 hours or more, is to get up every hour or so. That might not be the best idea, but just try to follow that guideline if you can. It's important to note that those who are infected likely will not infect others who are sitting more than 2 seats away from you, next to you, or 1 or 2 rows in front of you or behind you. And the risk of indirect transmission can be eliminated by keeping your hands clean. There we go again with that sanitizer and warm water and soap. And of course, as always, keeping your hands and fingers away from your eyes, nose, and mouth. You always want to make sure to wipe down your surroundings when you first get in the plane. When you first get to your seat, you do want to take a page out of Naomi Campbell's book and do a quick scrub of all your hard surfaces with disinfectant wipes. Examples include the back of the seat in front of you, the seat flap, the tray table, the armrest. Those are all areas that germs can settle on. And of course, you want to allow the surfaces to remain wet for the time that it takes the disinfectant to work. You don't want to dry it. You don't want to risk removing the disinfectant too soon. And you don't want to use the disinfectant, obviously, on surfaces like upholstery, because you're going to be left with a wet seat and the germs can more easily spread if you use the disinfectant on upholstered surfaces. COVID-19 won't directly infect you from such surfaces. They only infect you when you touch those surfaces and then go on to touch your nose, mouth, and or your eyes with your hands. Try to use either gloves or disposable tissues to protect your hands, and please dispose of them immediately. Don't drink the water is the next point I want to make. And what I mean by this is water from the tap in an airplane. According to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, water from the airplane water tanks is not always clean. I never drink the tap water from an airplane, or the coffee or the tea for that matter, because it's usually made with that same water that's drawn from the airplane water tanks. So you will most likely get kind of a bad gastrointestinal upset if you decide to drink the water from the tap on an airplane. If you want water, it's 100% of the time, always ask for a bottle. Always ask for water from a bottle. and they'll be happy to give it to you. And of course, the most important thing to keep in mind is stay home if you're sick. This is the most important point of this whole thing is if you have a fever, if your nose is running, just stay home. I cannot stress the importance of that enough, because and I say this because we usually focus on how to protect ourselves from COVID, and we don't often think about preventing ourselves from spreading it. If you're sick, you're likely going to spread it to other people who don't want to catch it. The CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, recommends waiting at least 24 hours after your fever breaks. So your travel agent, someone like me, if you're sick, I can help renegotiate, if you need to change your flight, if you need to change your vacation, I can help walk you through the process, and get through that with little to no extra cost to you. It's important to think about everyone, not just yourself. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. If you're on social media, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and if you want to check out my website is here. If you have any questions or want any clarification on anything, you can always email me. My email is right there. And if you have any other suggestions, please always feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section. Thanks for watching and have a great day.